This is Alan Gassman. What is a rolling GRAT? And that's a great question. So I'll go to home base here on the software by clicking the picture of the house or home. And I'll go to a rolling GRAT. Now, what is a rolling GRAT? A rolling GRAT is a series of GRATs that is set up every year to keep the assets from growing into your estate. So in other words, I described a GRAT where you have payment number 1 at the end of year 1, payment number 2 at the end of year 2. But what if we want to freeze your assets so they never grow at more than the 75/20 rate? What we could do is put $10 million into the GRAT, the first GRAT, and then on the first anniversary date, when you get that $5,200,000 payment, we immediately put that into a second GRAT. And then on the second anniversary date, when you would get that second payment from the first GRAT and the first payment from the second GRAT, we immediately transfer those on the same day to the next GRAT, so that in all ways and times, the growth exceeding the 75/20 rate is coming out of your estate. So in this situation, where I've gone to the rolling GRAT, what we've done is we've assumed that you would like to see a 21-year GRAT. So I've got this set on 21. But let's just say you want to go 15. So I can move the numbers to 15 years. And then what will the 75/20 rates be for the next 15 years? Well, I don't know what they're going to be for the next 15 years, but I went, for the fun of it, I went back to January 2004, and I looked up the 75/20 rates for every year since January 2004. And you can see they started at 4.4%, and now, and then after the 20th year, they were at 4.6%. So I'm going to do GRATs for each of these years showing this 75/20 rate as a typical situation. The reason I chose beginning in that year is I wanted to show you what can happen when the stock market goes up and down. So 2004, the stock market, and this is just the S&P 500, went up by 10.74. Then in 2005, 4.83%. You see a drop of 36% in year 5. The nice thing about the GRAT is that if the stock market drops, you just get all the assets back to put into the next GRAT. So you haven't used any of your exemption in the negative years. So now when I click on see results, and by the way, let me give you what the inputs were. I said the person's age 65, which is really irrelevant with the GRAT, but I wanted to show something. Dying at age 80. I wanted to illustrate the GRAT over 16 years, level payments, and each GRAT established from the initial 10 million and on up, I'm going to say that they're each a $1,000 gift. I'm going to leave just enough. I'm going to make the payments a little bit smaller than what they would otherwise be, so that from an actuarial calculation standpoint, there's a $1,000 gift made each year when each GRAT is established. And I'm assuming that the tax rate on the capital gains, interest, and dividends on the investment portfolio is 1.5%, and that you're starting with $10 million. So I click on to see results. And what it tells me is a $10 million initial value, level annual payments. The average growth rate is 8.32% for those years. But remember, you're going to have the benefit of the up years, and the down years are going to cause the payments back to you faster, which will cause the next GRATs to have all the assets. And the total in the remainder trust after the 15 years is $24 million. So the total estate tax savings at a 40% estate tax is $9.9 million. And the estate tax savings from paying the income tax on behalf of the GRAT remainders after each GRAT ends, 400,000. Total estate tax savings, 10 million. And that's on a $10 million contribution. And then the spreadsheet shows you what happened year by year. In fact, the spreadsheet shows these remainder trusts here, and it says year-end total in remainder trusts. These are the amounts that are left in the GRAT after the second year of each GRAT. So you can see that they increase over time. Another thing I can do is I can show you every single GRAT. So I click on GRATs, separate column for each GRAT. And now you see how each of the GRATs did, as far as the first GRAT started at 10 million, and then there was a payment of 5.3 million for 2 years, and then the year-end value 687. The second GRAT got 5.3 million. That was the reinvestment from the first GRAT, and after the second year had 315,000 left. The third GRAT was funded from the second payment from GRAT 1 and the first payment from GRAT 2. It got 8.8 million, and after a second year it was worth 885. And all of these amounts, as far as what's remaining after the second year of each GRAT, got added in the year-end total to remainder trusts. So I can go back to up to my assumptions. I could change anything I might want to change. For example, I can see what would happen to the estate tax savings if I click on making the term increase by the payments increase by 20%. I'll see this 10,342,000 go to 10,307,000. Or I can actually have the first payment be 90% of the initial GRAT value, the second payment be based upon 10%. That's prorating the payments to 90-10, still being based upon the 75-20 rate of return. When I click on that, the estate tax savings are a little bit greater. So I'll go ahead also and provide a spreadsheet for this so I don't forget. And now let's also create a new PowerPoint. So I'll click on Rolling GRATs, PowerPoint presentation. I'll also get you a general explanation. Click on Submit. So now the new PowerPoint just appeared on my other screen. It automatically opened. And this is a rolling GRAT. First GRAT payment, $10 million, paying out $9,395,000 annually over 2 years Actually, it paid $9,395,000 in the first year and just over $1 million in the second year. So we show a nice picture here about how GRAT 1 at the end of year 1 funds GRAT 2, then GRAT 1 and 2 at the end of year 3 fund GRAT 3, then GRAT 2 and 3 at the end of the next year form GRAT 4, and these GRATs keep funding the remainder trusts, so the assets that you have left are not growing, and the more than the 75/20 rate and the excess over the 75/20 rate is going to the beneficiaries. So that is the rolling GRAT. Thank you very much for listening to this. Thank you.